filmed in public before. I'm a bit nervous.
Oh, they'll be fine.
Yeah.
So, I come in all the bloody time with people doing filming and stuff.
Oh, cool.
Stanley was here, wasn't he, recently doing some filming and stuff?
Was he?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
Nice.
Rick, not Jack.
Yeah.
He did his like Cornwall escape thing, didn't he?
So, on Pareusi's On a Knife Edge podcast today, we have Jeffrey Robinson. You've probably all recognised him from New Yard, and today he brought us to this amazing farm called Soul Farm.
Yeah, it's amazing, man. It's like I came up here. Well, I knew about Soul Farm before I even came over to Flushing. Even when I was at New Yard, we were well aware of the stuff going up here. Mainly because they did this big event with Charles Dowding, who's basically the godfather of no-dig growing, and he did this big event here, and I was like, wow, no way. And I kind of looked into it more, and I was like, this place is amazing. And like we always kind of connected and watched other kind of organic growing systems, because like we were always super passionate about that at New Yard. And it was very easy there because we had our own wall garden and growing everything. It was really hard, but it was so rewarding, and that kind of dictated like the dining experience.
Yeah.
Because basically the dining experience was a runoff of what we were doing as growers. And as a customer, you could come in, sit down, and be served food by the person that had cooked it and also grown it. So it was completely circular, and we really loved it. Obviously, that came to an end, which I can't really talk about here. But then I wasn't really knowing what my next move was to be from that, because it was a really respected place, Still is. I mean, it's still a great restaurant. And all the team together, they kind of all wanted to stay together. We had a few options of other places what to do, and a couple that bought the pub in Flushing. All see it from Jan, who's over there, the guy that lives here.
Oh, right, okay.
Jan Trafusis, who owns the big house here and all this, and is landlord to quite a few places here. Lovely, lovely guy, and really passionate about all this as well. So I was like, this is really going to work.
It's really good when you've got someone like supportive of what you're doing as well.
Really supportive, and yeah, it's really, really good actually, because we believe so strongly in it, and we were like, is going into a pub going to fit for us? Not because we're above pub cooking or anything, but just like the natural audience we had, is that going to be good? But then we realised, the story we were telling was really strong. And we could only really tell it to quite a small audience because it was quite expensive to eat at the restaurant. It wasn't for everyone. But we had to set those prices because we needed that much turnover to have that percentage left over to pay for the labour, to pay for the rent, and to pay for the business rates and pay for everything else, because organic growing is expensive.
So what was it that actually got you into like kind of this sort of style of being like?
That's a good question. I don't know really. I've always been quite.
Because you said you were a dietitian before.
Yeah, I studied nutrition and stuff like before I kind of got good at cooking, really, because I'm always interested in how food affects us, like anatomically and in your brain and stuff. And I've always really connected to that. And then I became a dad, and I kind of got into it even more because I was looking for like better stuff for my children to eat and that kind of stuff, and just realised that basically that is the only way like to really grow healthy food. And then you start like go into the rabbit hole, not just like internet searching rubbish, but like actually like studying how you grow bad food and how you grow good food, and the impact of both of those things. Like industrial agriculture is beyond awful. Like it is really bad, and we could spend 3 hours here talking about that. If anyone is literally going, I'm interested in that, you just go straight to Vandana Shiva, go onto her podcast and things like that. She's taken on the world on her own, and
really dives deep into.
She's a quantum physician, so she really understands what's going on there. She can explain it much better than I can. But if you completely like put it into a nutshell, there's basically 4 large companies that own 60% of the world's seed bank. Which is just crazy, and it's like the land mass it takes to create bad food is crazy. And you went from like 3 inputs to create 1 input of bad food is now 15 inputs to create 1 unit of bad food. So it's like it's actually getting worse, and the soil is just not being as productive as it was because we keep throwing these glyphosates down and Roundup and all this other rubbish onto the soil. I had a bad stomach problem when I was really young, which is quite crippling if I eat the wrong stuff, and I can't eat supermarket bread. I can't do it. But I can eat sourdough. I can eat sourdough because it's got 3 ingredients to it. That's literally it. It's like salt, water and flour. And we only use the wild farm stuff down there. And I can eat that stuff and I'm absolutely fine.
But just the heavy processed bread from
20 odd ingredients to it. It's bread.
I know, it's worrying, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then the sell-by date is like 2-3 weeks. You're like,
it's mental, isn't it? I mean, it's just become normal. Like, convenience has now become normal, and we've become lazy with our food. Like, you go into any supermarket. There's actually a really famous painting, Van Huyting's The Impossible Bouquet. It's really, really old. There's loads of flowers and stuff that should not exist together at all in this one bouquet of flowers. Yeah. And that is literally every supermarket aisle you ever go to. Like, a cucumber shouldn't even know a squash exists. Next to a strawberry, next to a blueberry, it just doesn't make any sense. And we're eating all the same species of stuff all the time. There's like hundreds of species of bananas, and we all eat this one type of banana, which was grown in London. And it's gone around the world again. Like, it's mad. And I really think, because I'm going off on one here a little bit, and I said,
it's all right.
I think a chef's position in the food industry, they need to like really stand up and be a little bit stronger with it, and to vote really for the future of the industry with the money they're spending now, because like food security and stuff isn't like a one-day event where you go, oh, sorry, it's all over, we've got no more food left. It's literally like a century-long, really painful, long process, and we are now in this. In that, it's happening. We're like a decade into it now, and like in 40 years' time, there's going to be a moment where industrial agriculture doesn't work anymore. There's no life left in the soil, so we're not going to be able to grow food like that anymore. So like, there needs to be a plan in place for this now. Like, it really, really does. And in like a really capitalist world, it kind of, you could assume that you don't really have any power in that. Like, the world's just running and you're part of it. But actually, all the power's in our hands. We're the ones spending the money. So if we want to change it, we just got to change the way we're spending our money, and everything will just catch up eventually. And yes, it is more expensive. Like,
and I think part of it as well is, like, again, you said about convenience. It's like, for some people to go to a local veg shop, it might be a bit of a pain in the ass compared to just going to Tesco or Sainsbury's.
Yeah.
But
but the world hasn't caught up with, like, everyone's poorer. Like, I'm poor. Like, I didn't have a lot of money. You know what I mean? We're a 2-parent working family.
Yeah.
And which basically makes summer holidays a redundant idea. Like 50 years ago, that was fine because there was only one person working in the family. That was good. Now every family is struggling in the summer holidays because they're both trying to work and they're both trying to cover this, which means they haven't got time now to go out to groceries and stuff. So convenience store is now normal.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is now, and it doesn't take long for that to become normal. Like, to give kids tomato ketchup all the time with their food, that's not a normal thing to be pumping them full of sugar and stuff and that kind of stuff. And like the world of children eating, I'm really passionate about as well, because we don't really have a children's menu at the pub, which doesn't make us anti-children. I think it actually makes us more pro-children, because we bring them into the environment a bit more, and we actually bring children around the kitchen for tours and stuff.
Oh, nice.
Which is really cool. We had this lovely kid in the other night, and he was the first person we ever did at New Yard where he smashed it out of the park. He had to come in for the tasting menu, didn't even ask for a kids menu. And he was eating monkfish liver and oysters and beef tartare. I remember Marley going, wow, this kid's like immense. And we're like, get him in the kitchen.
I was going to say.
Walking around, like, it was amazing. And he came into the pub the other day and he recognised Marley, and he was like a lot taller now. He's like, we went back in the kitchen again. It was really cool. So we felt like we made a little bit of a difference to that kid, you know?
Yeah.
And he's going to have like a different understanding of like restaurants. And like, it is cool for children
it's good to like, open their eyes up.
Yeah, for sure. Because England's so far behind, like the rest of Europe, of how important we see food, especially at home. You know, like you go to any other country in Europe, and like, the whole day revolves around dinner. Like, what's going to happen at dinner? We don't do that here because we are quite overworked in this country and underpaid, and it's difficult, you know. And like, something needs to change. And I'm not going to go into that right now. I need to talk about food and stuff in it, but that's why we believe so strongly in supporting this type of agriculture. There's quite a few reasons there, wouldn't it? But let's just pick to flavour. It tastes good. It just tastes good. That's why we do it.
That's the bit we use on
there.
There
we go. There we go. That's it. Yeah.
No, that's all that's like good meaning, and like I've kind of become more conscious as well about, as I was saying to you just before we started recording, about like cooking certain things like chicken you get from supermarkets.
For sure.
And then when you
everyone
start
does.
cooking, it's just juice and
like I said to you
water
when you mentioned it earlier, I said, listen, I went to Sainsbury's on the way home the other day. I'm a full-time working
Exactly,
parent,
it's hard, isn't it?
So
It's like
sometimes I had to do it. I mean, but that was out of convenience. That wasn't out of necessity. And I do try my best to go out and do stuff. Luckily, I can take stuff home. I can order stuff from someone for myself, and I can take that home. I can get some stuff from Tresempel or Philip Warren, and I can order for that. I'm in a lucky position now. I'll get that. It's a lot easier for me to do that. But the government definitely need to make that easier for everybody to do that. Because I wonder, like, if you put a figure on, was it like, what, 4 billion quid or whatever, that's costing the NHS in food-related illnesses?
Yes.
It's a lot of money, man. And it's like, I think we're at like 3.8 billion in organic food sales now. So it's pretty pair up. It's like, if you really raise that organic food more, you're definitely going to see.
It'd be amazing, wouldn't it? Just that simple little change.
But it's just because it's taxing, and like dairy farms are closing by the minute, And if you have like full fat, non-homogenized milk, it's good for you, It is good for you. But like the homogenization, all the antibiotics that we're like putting into our system as well, like, and then that's going into the soil again, it's killing all the soil, and it's having this like bovine E. coli runoff which is going into the river. It's just mental, man. It literally is just madness. Like if you could like write a system which did not work to feed humans, we've done it. But this is it. We're there.
Well, it's good to see like places like this doing it a lot more like organically, and now seeing a few other like kitchens, and we're talking about Crocodile Farm.
Yeah, Dan Cox, Crocodile, mind blower. Oh,
because they're like growing everything up there, and
he's killing it. He's honoured to know that guy. I was aware of him like 6 years ago. I read it in the paper that someone from like Longclume had come down to open this farm, and people were like, "Wow, it's taken over immediately. Like, it's going to take over." And I'm fortunate enough to spend a few shifts with Mike, the head chef there down at Neyard, and he was telling me everything they're doing down there. He brought me some of the garums in that I was trying, and I was like, "This is knockout." Marley went up there for their first night, and was like, "It's incredible." And like the same thing at Neyard, but on a far bigger scale, is that the dining experience is just a cast off of what they're doing agriculturally, and that's really important. And like, he's going to be world renowned, like crazy. Like that place is going to kick off. You get down there.
You heard it here first. Yeah, yeah, definitely.
But yeah, this place is sick. So Lawrence, I connected with Lawrence ages ago when we took it over, because he wanted to have that same dining experience as a cast off of either where you are or what's being grown around you. And so far, just obviously nailed it. And the menu is definitely dictated by what's behind us. But when we go down to Pudminnow, we'll go through the menu. See, I'm not like making it up. It is literally all from here. And we use Trenner Fields as well, Mark, down at there. He sets some squashing every day. You've got Pasha down in Falmouth. All creating these amazing vegetables. They just taste so much better. We get to do relatively simple food just because the work's already done.
Yeah, so you're just enhancing.
Yeah, just like roasting the squash and just or doing a bowl of tomatoes with someone. They're like, "Wow, this is mental." And we were doing is dressing it with some olive oil from like New Dawn, that Portuguese stuff, which is like come over by sailboat, and it's just amazing. Like, it's really, really good.
Yeah, because you let me try one of the tomatoes when I first popped down with the knife.
Yeah.
And the flavour and punch from it was just like unlike anything I've tried before. Like it was so good.
We've become a little bit lazy with what we kind of, but it's expensive, Like it costs us so much money to buy those tomatoes.
But then because there's so much labour going into it.
And they'll do this here, and they might have to leave that, go to like, protect itself naturally before they go grow somewhere else. Like, and all that costs money. It all costs money because they are a business. They're not doing this volunteering. They're a business. They have to make money, and it costs more to produce this, and it's cheaper somehow to just throw loads of chemicals down and just dig it all up and go again and go again and go again. Yeah, it's mad.
It just sounds like such a bad way of doing it, doesn't it? Like
it is. So that's quite relieving. That's good.
But I'm quite tempted to almost do like a video blog thing of just eating like organic foods for 30 days or 2 months or whatever. And just see if there's any difference in the way I feel and like mentally. And
yeah, you'll be on it, man. It's not even worth the conversation. It's so much better for you. It's what we've like. I don't know. It's how we should be eating. That's basically it. I don't know why we think all of a sudden we know more than Mother Nature does about how to like produce food. It's just madness, and yeah, it's just crazy. Especially with animal like. Producing that is just
some of the stuff I've heard about.
Yeah, it's crazy. Right. Yeah, it's not good times. Like we use a few different people for our meat, quite specifically. And it's expensive. Everything's expensive. But you know, this is the real cost of food. Cheap food doesn't exist. It's not a thing. Someone is paying for that. And if it isn't the consumer or the diner or the chef, then it's the farmer. And if it's not the farmer, it's the animal. Yeah. That someone's paying for it. And I hate the term cheap and cheerful. Let's go have something cheap and cheerful. What does that even mean? Like, it doesn't exist. Cheap food is not a thing. It's what it is. Like, it's mad. Should we go down the pub and have a beer?
yeah, have a little cry and it's the end of the world.
Yeah. The food's decent down there, though. You'll love it. It'll be good fun.
Cool. Yeah, we could have a little walk around the gardens and just...
Yeah, nice. Yeah, it's cool. And you'll see a lot of the stuff on the menu already here and stuff, actually. Like, I'm sure they wouldn't mind you picking a little bit, have a little taste up. I did text Lawrence, he knows we're here, so it's fine.
Okay, cool. I just won't shove it in my pockets. Or...
No, don't do that. We'll just go on my invoice. No,
okay.
I'll do it myself, but just don't put it out of the ground. Cool.
Cool. Right, let's have a little wander.
Cool.
So after a really nice walk around the farm, we're now back at Harbour House, your restaurant, your pub.
Yeah, we're just winging this dish, aren't we? So this is, you just filmed me cooking a little bit. We had yesterday, there's some guy, the council approached us about getting a landing licence, which is quite cool here. And like we always say, like, yeah, we're not in charge of the menu, we just let people bring in what they want, and it sounds very romantic, but it's super stressful. Like,
is it?
It's mad, like, because he literally turned up mid-service with like, some sea bass and scallops and stuff, and it's all right, yeah, cool, we'll just get it on the menu.
And then straight away you've got to be like,
bang. So so Sean's just been out there, like you see, this prepping down the scallops ready for tonight. We don't know really what we're doing with them just yet, but we had some bone marrow left over, which we just kind of dumped in, and I thought we'd just bang them straight over the coals. Your one left looks better than my one. Then we just literally wing it every day. So Marley's in there. I don't know what he was cooking then for tonight, but you've got to allow the chefs to have a bit of creativity to kind of make food.
That's really nice, and that's a good way. Like, the mindset of cooking is like just to experiment.
Absolutely.
Just to try things.
Yeah, for sure. And like we've got a backlog of 50, 60 sauces that we know can definitely work, and like different garnishes that go different species. So if we get Gurnard come in, we know we've got 5 dishes that we could run off of that, and we've always got some sort of fish stock here or some sort of like bone stores, kind of like a bouillabaisse thing that we've got kind of always running, and other things. But we like to kind of like this, like mixed bone marrow with shellfish and stuff. We serve a lot of stuff raw. I do a lot of raw sea bass. Raw sea bass is on tonight actually with the Soul Farm tomatoes, which is quite fun. Nice. And this will be on with something. So we just had some bone marrow. So I thought should we just give it a go?
Give it a go. Yeah.
Give it a go. We just bang them straight over the coals. They should be. You know what? Actually, it's
so
naughty.
Soft, man.
Yeah, that's naughty. Mine's actually all right. That's half decent, isn't it?
So like buttery. Like the texture's so soft.
Yeah, it's nice. Oh, a bit of a salt fiend.
Oh.
Yeah, banging. Nice, man. That was all right. Yeah, so you're part of the recipe process tonight now. That'll just go on the menu tonight.
Put my name beside it.
But that's what it's about. So yeah, it's cool. Like you said, like coming into the pub atmosphere. We really wanted to keep it friendly and noisy and accommodating. We have a certain style of food, which we can't kind of shake off. That's just the way we cook. These are dishes we put together. It's just very natural. It would be quite unnatural for us to kind of go into what you would call traditional pub food, I suppose.
Yeah.
Not that we like to like segregate things into different markets, like gastro burgers or like toad in the hole or pies or things like that have to be on pub menus. Like, I think it's really important for any menu. We even got it on the printed back of menu that any menu should be really like a story of where you are, rather than just like a list of choices, because I think it's really important, like especially for us, that the money that goes in the till here gets dispersed back out into Flushing and Falmouth and stuff.
That's really nice.
It's really important.
Super local,
yeah, it's cool.
It's just a cycle.
So thus means we have no control over the menu, because we get told what's coming in, and then we get to put something together.
That must be really fun being a chef, because you get to have a proper think and play around with.
Yeah. But it must have been like 60 years ago, like what every restaurant in the world was going had to do. They must have just been normal. But yeah, it's cool. It's good fun, and it's good like eating this kind of food and just having a pint and having some great bread. And like these olives came in this morning from New Dawn. They're actually banging. Like, they're so good. They're totally organic. They're from Portugal, and I kind of feel like Portuguese olive oil hasn't got that mad bitterness. It's quite sweet.
Yeah.
I think it's really, really good. It's got a good texture to them. They're quite lovely, aren't they? So they come from Portugal by sailboat all the way to Penryn, and then they bring them over here.
Wow.
So it's cool. And they're not mad expensive. I have to order like 40 kilos at a time for it to become cost effective for us. So we have to like pre-order our dry stores like 3 months in advance, which comes with its own stress. We don't really know what's going to be going with it. So I've ordered loads of Carolina rice and different beans and loads of fleur de sel and panela sugar. We use quite a lot of panela here rather than sugar.
Say the beans were from Selden as well?
Yeah, so they go like to Africa and stuff as well. Because
I remember I had what was it?
Oh, the shellfish beans. Do you have that?
Yeah, because I had when I came here a few weeks ago, I had I think it was cod. Can't remember.
Oh, no.
My memory's so bad.
It would have been pollock, I think.
Pollock, yeah.
On beans.
Real nice. Yeah, that was so good.
Oh, they are though. Yeah, I wasn't in that day, so they would have just put that together. Yeah. Did it have nduja in it as well?
That's it.
Yeah, there was nduja that day from Mark at Dutchy.
Yeah,
I've seen that here. Because we had this really cool idea of like stuffing each individual olive with nduja, then breadcrumbing each one. That was a bit of a...
That sounds quite time-consuming.
Yeah, it wasn't. That didn't work. It was labour nightmare. We needed one person employed just to do that. It didn't really work. But no, that was cool. So that's a really good example. Like everyone knows the standard of food that we need to do, and they get to kind of then put those things together themselves, which is quite nice. And obviously, when I'm in, it's a little bit more like, strict. They know the standard which I expect of putting food together, and more importantly, they really understand what a dining experience is. And they really, like the kitchen that work with me, they understand how important the front of house is, which is really nice. You don't get that like departmentalisation here between chefs and front of house, none of that animosity. They really work together.
I think that's it, isn't it? It's when like the chefs and front of house gel together.
Yeah, it's important.
It reflects onto the customers and like...
Yeah, it's so important.
Again, when we came here, like everyone was so friendly and like the chefs were looking over and smiling. And
yeah, they come out and serve the customers,
nice.
and they get involved. Like it's really, really cool. And it's important for like the diners to come in and sorry that beer's gone through a little bit. To kind of like speak to the people making it, because they're really proud of what they do here. They're really proud of it, and so they should be. The food's decent. Man. The food's really good, and it's only like we're just getting going. We're only open 7 weeks, so really we're putting together like a list of dishes which we know we can do with our eyes closed, like to a standard.
Yeah,
kind
good
of thing.
standard.
And then we're going to start going. Okay, cool. We've got this much time here, or we could probably do this, and then we're going to start tweaking like where we've got like time slots free or different processes we can do. Because every process you add to a dish, it's money, isn't it? Like, because really, it's like you add in half an hour to something, that's cost you £7 to like add that thing, to the day. So you've got to really think about it carefully. But that's why we went with the charcoal grill from Firemade from Tom Ray, and the grill is just incredible. So we get to use the food can be really minimalist here.
I bet though, did you find it difficult to learn how to cook on that? Because it's not like a standard induction or a gas, is it?
Yeah, it was hard. I thought it'd be well easy.
Yeah.
It's really difficult.
We straight away just like, I got this.
Yeah, man. Like, you mentioned Andy Tuck a minute ago. He's like an absolute legend over fire. And I've been watching him for a little bit, and someone I'm really good friends with, Sam Buckle, he goes to there. He always says like Andy's food is like the best. Like it's really, really good. And I always see the images of it, and he always looks like he's on top of it. And Jackson up at Nancaro,
Bristow.
Yeah, he knows what he's doing with fire. I need to go kind of spend a few days there. But we're getting used to it now. It's happening. But it's just like you can't just through service just pick up a piece of fish and then cook it for 3 minutes to 42 degrees and send it, like, because the fluctuation and the charcoal changes so much. You always have to be on it.
You're constantly watching, aren't you?
It's alive. Like you have to keep feeding that. Like if you're on the grill, like your head's in the game. Like you really have to concentrate. And yeah, it's good fun. And the food's definitely getting there. But it's cool to have like the drinking scene part of that, because it's part of a going out experience. You need to go out and have fun. And the beers, they're really good. Like you've obviously got Verdant.
I have to say
it's banging, isn't it?
You might find me still here at like 10 o'clock tonight. I'm absolutely slaughtered in the corner.
Right. My wife thinks I'm working till late anyway, so we'll have a few beers. But no, they make their own yeast up at Verdant, which gives it that amazing texture.
Oh wow!
It's really, really cool. They work really hard up there, and that's why all their beers are quite specific. Like you can definitely tell a Verdant beer as soon as you have it. I think they're probably one of the best beers in the country, to be honest. Like they're really, really good.
Where are they based?
Penryn.
Penryn.
Yeah. But same as these guys, Lacuna's, which I always go for Lacuna as well. Love Verdant, but I like the way they kind of source their hops and stuff. And there's not a lot of glyphosates and stuff in that, so I don't really get headaches or anything. But I really like the Lacuna stuff. I think it's really cool. They're based just opposite Verdant, and they get on really well together, which is quite nice. So it's good to have that. But all the beers are low. We've got St Ives cider, we've got Treens, but yeah, these are our main sellers: the Verdant and the Lacuna.
Like and like the way as well you've kind of presented them with the taps on the wall.
Yeah, it's cool, isn't it?
It's like an experience of watching it being.
That was all Will's idea. Like it's really cool to have that kind of quite American, isn't it? It's quite fun. But no, it's really cool. No, we've done all right, man. It's been a really long, hard process. It took us like 6 months of. Like I'm not going to pretend that I was in here grafting all the time. I scraped some of the bitching off the floor, but the guys that did the build did an exceptional job. But yeah, it's gone to a really high finish. Like, it's really.
So was
really
it?
cool.
Because I never came here before.
No, me neither actually. No, it was called the 7 Stars before.
I remember the name.
Yeah.
Was there like a lot of work that needed to be done to get it to how it looks now?
Oh, it's unrecognisable.
Really?
This room didn't even exist. This was part of the kitchen. This has got built out. But these are all the original. Apart from there, that's the old doorway. But it's all the original bricks, all the original floor. We just basically stripped it back and then lime plastered the rest of it and stuff. But
wow. I do love that exposed brick.
Yeah, it's cool.
It's awesome.
It's just really natural.
It gives
raw,
it like
isn't it?
character.
Yeah, it's really nice. No, we're really proud of it. And the kitchen we had to like redesign from scratch. We always wanted to have the charcoal grill, so Tom built that for us for that little slot. And we've got a little induction for like sauces and stuff, and a little rash and a fryer and stuff. But that's about it. And we've got a bakery built at the back as well, because obviously we quite.
Is that the past up the bit I walked?
Yeah, just out the door there on the right.
Nice.
And Nick was in there today making the sourdough and stuff, because we got quite a good name actually for our bread.
You do.
And we wanted to keep that going. It took a couple of weeks to get the mother dough big enough to actually
make enough.
Yeah, we're making like 15-20 loaves of bread a day now, which is quite a lot, just for a little restaurant pub. Sorry, but you use all the wild farm stuff, which is unbelievable. Like the way they do their grain and stuff is really good, and everyone really should be supporting them a lot. There's a lot of other cool places in Cornwall, like Cornish Golden Grains and stuff. They're really good. Their stuff's nice, and obviously you've got Gilchesters. They're organic and stuff as well. But our recipe works really well with the wild farm now, and it's so specific. We're too scared to change it, so we just know it works. So let's just leave it alone. Just leave it.
You've mastered that.
It works. It took us a while to get the pasta kind of set up. It takes.
Okay.
It's like for every kilo, it takes about 600 grams of egg yolk. It was actually quite. It's a bit lower than usual. Usually like a good 700 grams of yolk, but it's about 600 with the wild farmed. And we make a lot of pappardelle here and fill pastas and stuff like that. And we actually make everything. To be honest, we even make the butter. We make the lot. So it's quite a highly skilled kitchen, like for what you'd say a pub like dining experience. There's some proper decent chefs back there making some cool stuff. But I think like England should definitely be more proud of its like cuisine. Like it's
because we created something amazing.
Yeah, like the English food scene's sick, especially in Cornwall. Like the Cornish food scene's amazing at the minute. So many cool restaurants. Like mad shout out to like Culture over in Falmouth. Got the Green Star as well now. Hilton's banging out some incredible food over there.
Oh, Hilton, absolutely.
Yeah, he's doing some really cool stuff. He's doing really good. And we kind of bounce off each other quite nice. He came and supported us straight away when we opened.
Nice.
Bless him. I still haven't been over to there. I feel really guilty because his food looks exceptional. But I live in St Ives, such a long way to go for dinner and come back and with the kids and stuff. I'm sure he understands. But it's definitely a really cool kind of vibe going on with the food at the minute down here. It's really nice. It's cool.
You definitely noticed that because quite a lot of like big chefs from like the city, from all over, are kind of coming down, setting up their own thing.
Yeah. Yeah, like handling down in St Ives and stuff. Like,
oh yeah.
People are coming down. Yeah, it's cool.
We've got such good ingredients, and like you just showed me earlier, like the farm, like really nice, organic, local.
You go anywhere in London, like the Cornish this or Cornish that, like it like definitely puts a higher value on a product. And there's, I suppose I've had it a couple of times actually within my career. Like, oh, that's London prices. No, hang on a minute, it's the same. It's literally the same species of fish. Like it costs the same, so hence why probably like sells roughly the same. And in Cornwall, it's even harder because you've got 6 months of the year to make any money, and then you've got the 6 months where you're like cash negative, but you're paying 12 months business rates, you're paying 12 months rent, but you haven't got that winter money. So it's even harder in Cornwall, like to make any money in restaurants. It really is difficult. Like it's hard, man.
How did you find? Obviously now you've set up 2 restaurants. How have you found that? Like stressful and
yeah, of course it's stressful. It's really hard, I suppose, because you feel responsible for so many people's mortgages. Like you do feel responsible, and obviously especially here with the investors putting so much money in. It's definitely very stressful. At New Yard, we kind of got to a point where we're like, right, this isn't working, and we actually got a little bit fortunate with COVID, because that kind of allowed us to reset our brains a little bit, and it allowed the demographic to kind of allow you to make changes to your business model without attacking you so much. So we obviously closed, and we only had like $5,000 to set that place up, which I borrowed from Jenny Agatha to like get the place set up.
You set up $5,000?
Yeah, and then we had to give that back to us. Like, I don't know how much money we're going to have here, and we built. We had money as well. That's the much we kind of invested like into that thing.
Yeah.
And it just kind of grew from that and that and that and that, and it got to a point where we're like, we're going under. Like COVID's just going to shut us down, and luckily furlough came in, so we've got to keep some of the staff on. And then we really looked at the figures and stuff, and we're like, a la carte isn't working, and we need to be getting at least £105 a head out of each person that comes here for us to even consider keeping this many staff on. So like, how do we do this? How do we get people to come and spend that much money at least? And we're like, it has to be a tasting menu. That's the only way we can do it. So COVID allowed us to completely reset that model into a tasting format.
So you just have adapted.
Yeah, and then we were zero waste completely, because we only ordered what we needed to come in. And it was that moment really where we kind of woke up and thought, actually, the dining room don't really care what we do as long as it's tasty. Like, value for money doesn't mean it's cheap. This means it's good for whatever you're paying for. And we can't obviously bring that here too much. It needs to be a la carte. People need the ability to kind of spend what they want, which means then we need to go 7 days a week. So we keep the stock moving it all the time. And it's working right, actually. It's been a bit. That was the biggest shock to us, just getting a check on. We had a check on for 3 years. You know what I mean?
Because it's all like you said.
It's like, what do you mean? What do you mean you want all this at different times? No. And that was hard. That was took us a while to get into that. But the standard food's been really, really good. Yeah,
do you reckon, speaking of tasting menus, because I do love a tasting menu, because it's just like
me too. I love it.
Stuff. Do you reckon you'd ever do like, say, one evening in a month? Or
We've actually got a chef's table on the pass.
Whoa!
We put a table or two on the pass, which we're opening actually in a couple of weeks, where you can have a 10-course dinner in the kitchen here.
That sounds amazing.
Which would be good. So we're just working out how to do that properly. And then we're going to introduce like a little set lunch menu, which would be like 3 or 4 courses. So we are going to bring that concept into it. But it's hard to do that because we want to keep it a pub. We want people to come in just for a pint and a bit of pork pie if they really want to. But likewise, we're a business. We do need to create turnover. And the chefs do need that creative release of creating something that special. So that's really good for them as well. So that should start in a couple of weeks. Yeah, it'd be really good fun. Yeah, it'd be good.
So I'm really interested in kind of like people's like journeys to kind of where they are now and stuff. During your time kind of like in like the culinary world and like setting up both restaurants and like, your whole career, is there like a certain moment you'd say was probably like your proudest?
Oh,
kind of like, wow.
That's a good question.
Thank you.
There's a couple of moments. A couple of moments, man.
Being on here.
Obviously, this one, being on this podcast was sick. Yeah, getting that knife, that was a good one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was good. Which is not what that's from. That's not from that, it's fine.
But speaking of cuts, though, I had someone ordered 2 custom knives of us, and he sent me a photo the other day, and he was like, I can assure you they're still sharp. And this was like months ago. And he sent me a photo, and his whole hand is in a big, big bandage.
Oh, shit.
Because apparently he cut, like, I think right through.
Oh, my God. It's brutal, isn't it? No, I walked through the kitchen the other day, and I see my peeler on the side. I was like, oh, that's my peeler. Put it in my pocket, forgot my pocket, put my hand in my pocket, and just sliced all my... Oh, so stupid. Idiot, man. But that's nice. But you're nice, very proudly at home above my little kitchen.
Nice.
Yeah, it's good fun. Yeah, I use it quite a lot. It's really good. It's quite big in it, so I'm like getting used to it. Like, it's quite fun, but it's really, really sharp, and I love it. It's really cool. But like, yeah, proud moments wise, it's hard, isn't it? I suppose there's been a few like real proud moments. Obviously, getting that star from Michelin was.
You got a star from Michelin?
With the green star from Michelin.
Oh, New York.
Yeah, that was really... We didn't even know that the green star thing was a thing.
Can you remember when that kicked in?
Was it 2020? Was it like that?
Was it?
God, embarrassing, I've forgotten that. Really proud moment.
You got one.
But I was at home playing Xbox with Oscar, my oldest.
Yeah.
And I remember getting a message from Ellie Wentworth from the Angel.
Oh, yeah.
And she was like, "You watching Michelin tonight?" And I was like, "Nah, like there's no point in me watching that." And she was like, "All right, well, good luck." And I was like, "Okay, fine." I think we were playing Crash Bandicoot. I was like, "Oscar," and my phone was going off, and I was like, "What's going on here?" Because it was all like on TV and stuff, on YouTube, sorry. And they're like, "Well done, you've won." I was like, "What do you mean I've won?" And it was like it rewinded. It was like the Black Swan Ulster. They went Longcombe, and they went New Yard, Helston. I was like, "What? We've won something!" Like it's crazy. We won the Green Star, and I got to like phone all the chefs and phone all the front of house. That was cool. That was a really proud moment. That was nice, man.
Because I think I remember seeing it on social and it was just blowing up.
Yeah, it's like, nuts.
Everywhere.
That was the first time that they really did it. And I thought that was really cool, man. And I think really in 10 years' time, that should be like entry-level requirements to even get into the guide. Should be those kind of stuff, really. But good on Michelin for doing that. That was a really big move from them. And obviously shout out to Dan and Hilton for smashing that. And obviously Coombs Head Farm killing that out of the park as well. And another one recently, quite a more selfish moment, is when like Michelin actually phoned when we closed New Yard, like to say like how sorry they were and stuff, and how good we were and how much they came, and that was quite a nice moment, because when you're like, I grew up in St Ives and only really got into chefing out of necessity because there was no other jobs. I needed a job.
Because down here in specialty,
well, what other career do you do is what you do, man. Yeah. And yeah, I just had to do it. And then to eventually get to a point where I had like guides phoning me up and saying nice things, so that was quite nice. But you can't keep going, because like life's quite short, isn't it? You have to know when to like pull out and just go, all right, I just need to take a minute now.
Yeah.
But no, that was really nice. But then just like there was a really like, this is just for me as well, like a little moment at the other restaurant where I just stood there, and all these chefs were like flying around the dining room, serving people at the same time, and everyone was loving it. And I was like, we've done it. This is it. This is like
the moment when you stood back. And
I was like, this is one of the best restaurants. This is sick. This is working perfectly. And like Marley was talking to the customers, Sean was talking to the customers, and they were like talking to each other at the same time, and everyone was laughing. I was like, man, we're getting like big money per head here, and everyone's just like screaming and having a laugh. I was like, we've completely taken the pretentiousness out of fine dining. We've done it. And it's really cool, and that was my proper proud moment. That we'd smashed it. But yeah, that was really, really cool. And hopefully we have that moment here where we've like done it. We've smashed it into the pub scene. Yeah, it will happen. It just takes a long time to get to that point. We've had a few nights here where it's just like been so busy, and everyone's like raucous, laughing, and we've had chefs kind of flying around. But it's been like really hard work behind the scenes to do that, and we are going to get to that point. It's going to like, we've smashed it, but you can't do that in 7 weeks. It takes a little bit of time to kind of smash that.
And like settle into your groove and.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
it's just a kind of like persistence, isn't it? Just to keep on going. And
yeah, definitely. And the minute it's like you have to see it just financially, make sure it's working, and just kind of build that first, and then we can like really push on everything else. That's basically that, to be honest.
It's honestly really good to see like this kind of taking off. And again, like I was saying earlier about like the reputation you're building, and like letting the chef be all creative and
and front of house.
Awesome, man. Yeah, like, everything.
Front of house definitely is like, from my point of view, far more important than a kitchen for a restaurant experience. Like chefs get it easy.
Dealing face to face with the customer.
The chef's got the easy job. You've got to do is make something delicious and send it. Like you've been doing this your whole life, you should be fine doing that. Like, but front of house, they get challenged every day, and they have to work very hard to make sure like the experience is perfect, and every restaurant experience definitely relies on front of house. If you go out and have exceptional food, but the front of house is awful, you're not going to go back, are you? But it can flip. Like if the service is incredible, the food was mediocre, you probably will go back and still support that place, give it another chance. So it's definitely front of house. We try really hard on that here. We've got some really good front of house working here. We're really quite lucky with that. It's good.
Honestly, really good to like see everything going well, and
yeah, nice.
And I do understand the hard graft you have to put in sometimes.
Yeah, for sure.
It's
it is hard,
but it's rewarding, and it's like you almost become. I can't sense it. It's like you're so determined to take it where you want to. It's like it's gonna happen. You just
Yeah, no, it is happening. I suppose you never make it. You know what I mean? Like you never get to that point of luckily we had it in last place, but like you keep pushing and striving for something that never really happens. Just keep because you
and just wanting to better yourself.
Yeah, just keep pushing because you want to every day. And if you want the chefs to keep pushing, you have to hand over some creativity to them to allow them to do that. Otherwise, they can't sum up the energy to keep pushing so hard. Not like through like mad hours, but to just keep pushing techniques and keep pushing perfection all the time. Which is like, so much work going on behind the scenes just for these like few little dishes, like making the butter first thing in the morning, and that bread was started like 2 days ago and got baked this morning. Like there's a lot going on behind the scenes here to make relatively simple food. But if you do get food, like you'll understand it. Like it's good. But we know we're very proud of it, and we're really proud of like the instant impact we've had from people coming in and like supporting us straight away. Thank you for coming down.
It was really, really nice to come down and like
nice.
Get like an idea of what you're doing down here. Cheers. And the amount of work that's gone into it.
Cheers.
Amazing. And like meeting all the chefs in front of the house. Everyone's so nice and
we're so sick. Everyone's
team.
got the great team.
Awesome team.
Yeah, it's really cool.
But yeah, I've honestly really, really enjoyed it.
Nice.
Starting to get a taste for that now.
That's fine. We'll just turn the camera off. We'll have a little Negroni in a minute, get some dinner in.
Good.
Cool, man. Thank you very much.
Very much, dude.
Cheers, Dan.
And I'll be back again.